What if you're already living multiple lives and only choosing one to experience consciously? Hello there. I'm Elena D'Avalon, metahuman researcher, and today we're diving into something that might blow your mind. Or maybe it won't, because you're already doing it. You know, when I first started documenting this phenomenon, I thought I was dealing with a handful of unique cases. But after months of research, hundreds of interviews, and my own direct experiences, I can tell you with certainty, multi-reality navigation isn't some rare mystical ability. It's an emerging human capability. And if you've been following this advanced consciousness series, there's a good chance you're already experiencing it. So grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, because we're about to explore the most mind-bending aspect of consciousness evolution I've documented so far. If you've been having those weird moments where you remember things differently than everyone else, where you swear something happened that apparently didn't, where you wake up with memories that don't fit your life, you're not losing your grip on reality. You're gaining access to multiple realities. Let me tell you about Sarah. She came to me 3 months ago completely convinced she was having some kind of breakdown. She kept remembering conversations with her ex-husband about their daughter's college graduation. Except, they never had kids. In this reality, anyway. She'd wake up with vivid memories of their daughter Emma. Emma's graduation speech, the proud moment they shared, the restaurant they went to afterward. She could taste the champagne, smell Emma's perfume, feel the fabric of the dress she wore. But Emma doesn't exist in this timeline. At first, Sarah thought she was manifesting, creating false memories of the life she wanted. But here's where it gets interesting. The details were too consistent, too complete, too emotionally integrated to be fantasy. So we started documenting. And what we discovered changed everything I thought I knew about consciousness. Sarah wasn't imagining Emma. She was accessing memories from a parallel timeline where Emma exists, where different choices led to different outcomes, where she and her ex-husband stayed together and had the family they dreamed of. And this isn't isolated, folks. I have dozens of subjects reporting similar experiences. Parallel memories, alternate life recollections, timeline bleeding, whatever you want to call it. It's happening more frequently, and to more people. Marcus, one of my advanced subjects, remembers 3 different versions of his wedding day. Same bride, same venue, but completely different experiences each time. In one version, it rained and they moved the ceremony inside. In another, his father gave a speech that brought everyone to tears. In the third, they eloped the night before and the wedding was just a celebration. He's not confused. He's not making it up. He's accessing genuine memories from parallel timelines where different variables played out differently. Now, before you think I've lost it completely, let's talk about the science supporting this. Hugh Everett's many worlds interpretation suggests that every quantum event creates parallel realities. Every decision point, every possibility, branches into separate timelines. But here's where my research goes beyond theory. I'm documenting people who are consciously accessing these parallel branches, not just theoretically knowing they exist, but actually experiencing memories and information from alternate versions of their lives. Dr. Stuart Hameroff's work on quantum consciousness suggests that consciousness might operate at the quantum level, where normal rules don't apply, where information can exist in multiple states simultaneously, where observation itself shapes reality. What if consciousness isn't bound by the linear timeline we think we're living? What if advanced awareness can access the quantum field where all possibilities exist simultaneously? I've been working with neuroscientist Dr. Pim van Lommel's research on consciousness and the brain. His work suggests that consciousness might not be produced by the brain but rather received by it, like a radio tuning into different frequencies. If that's true, then multi-reality navigation makes perfect sense. We're simply learning to tune into different frequencies of our own existence, accessing memories and experiences from the versions of ourselves living parallel lives. And here's what's really fascinating. The subjects who develop this ability consistently report enhanced intuition, accelerated manifestation, and what they describe as timeline optimization. They naturally make choices that align with the best possible outcomes because they can sense what works across multiple realities. So if you're experiencing this, if you're getting memories that don't fit, if you're sensing alternate versions of your life, how do you navigate it without losing your anchor in this reality? First thing I tell all my subjects: acknowledge without attachment. Don't try to force access to other timelines. And don't get so caught up in alternate realities that you neglect this one. Think of it like peripheral vision. The harder you focus directly, the less you see. Keep what I call a reality journal. Not a dream journal, a reality journal. Document those memories that don't fit. Those moments when you're certain something happened differently. Those flashes of alternate life experiences. These are data points, evidence of your expanding consciousness. I had one subject, Jennifer, who started documenting every memory glitch she experienced. Within 3 months, she identified patterns. She was most likely to access alternate timeline memories during specific moon phases, when she was in deep relaxation, and right before major life decisions. She realized her consciousness was naturally scanning alternate possibilities to inform her choices in this reality. Her parallel selves were basically consulting with each other across dimensions. Here's what's really wild. The more Jennifer acknowledged and documented these experiences without trying to control them, the more her manifestation abilities accelerated. It's like she gained access to the quantum field from multiple entry points. Another subject, David, discovered he could consciously check in with alternate versions of himself before making major decisions. He'd meditate, set the intention to connect with parallel selves, and receive insights from versions of himself who had already made those choices. When he was considering a job change, he accessed memories from a timeline where he'd already made the switch. He could feel the satisfaction of the new role, sense the challenges he'd face, understand the growth it would bring. This information guided his decision in this reality. But here's where it gets tricky. How do you integrate multi-reality experiences without losing your sense of self? How do you maintain coherent identity when you're aware of multiple versions of your life? This is where most people get stuck. They start questioning everything. Which reality is real? Which memories are valid? Which version of themselves is the true one? Here's what I've learned from my advanced subjects. They're all real. Every timeline you can access, every parallel memory you experience, every alternate version of yourself, they're all equally valid expressions of your consciousness. The key is understanding that you're not switching between different selves. You're expanding your awareness to include more of who you already are. You're not losing your identity. You're discovering how vast your identity actually is. Think of it like this. If consciousness is like light, then each timeline is like a different color in the spectrum. You're not becoming red or blue or green. You're realizing you're the entire rainbow. One of my most advanced subjects, Patricia, describes it beautifully. I used to think I was Patricia the teacher. Now I know I'm consciousness exploring what it's like to be Patricia the teacher. and Patricia the artist, and Patricia the mother, and Patricia the adventurer. I'm all of them, simultaneously. So what's the practical benefit of multi-reality navigation? Why develop this ability beyond the coolness factor? First, decision-making becomes exponentially more informed. When you can access outcomes from alternate timelines, when you can consult with versions of yourself who've already walked different paths, you make choices from a much broader perspective. I have subjects who use parallel timeline access for everything from career decisions to relationship choices. They're not just imagining possibilities. They're accessing actual experiences from timelines where those possibilities played out. Second, healing accelerates dramatically. When you can access memories from timelines where trauma didn't occur, where healing happened, where you made different choices, you literally have more resources available for integration and recovery. One subject overcame decades of anxiety by accessing memories from a timeline where she'd always felt confident and secure. She didn't pretend the anxiety timeline wasn't real. She expanded to include the confidence timeline as equally real. The anxiety dissolved naturally when it was no longer her only reality. Third, creative abilities expand exponentially. Artists access inspiration from timelines where they explore different mediums. Writers tap into stories from alternate versions of history. Musicians hear melodies from realities where sound itself evolved differently. And fourth, problem solving becomes multidimensional. When you're stuck in this reality, you can access solutions that worked in parallel timelines. You literally have access to more data, more experience, more perspectives. What I'm documenting here isn't just a cool psychic ability. This is consciousness evolution in real time. We're witnessing humans transcend linear reality perception, develop genuine multidimensional awareness. The subjects who master multi-reality navigation consistently display enhanced intuition, accelerated learning, increased creativity, expanded empathy, and what they describe as quantum intelligence. They're accessing information and wisdom from multiple versions of themselves. This represents a fundamental shift in human capability, from single timeline consciousness to multidimensional awareness, from linear thinking to parallel processing, from individual intelligence to collective self-intelligence. And here's what really gets me excited: the children being born now, they're showing up with this ability already active. They naturally remember things from alternate timelines. They casually mention lives they're living elsewhere. They access parallel versions of themselves without training. We're not just documenting an individual consciousness upgrade. We're documenting species evolution, the emergence of multidimensional humanity. For those of you ready to develop this ability more intentionally, here are the advanced techniques I've documented for my most successful subjects. Timeline meditation. Set aside 20 to 30 minutes daily. Enter deep relaxation. Set the intention to connect with parallel versions of yourself. Don't force specific outcomes. Just open to whatever timeline wants to connect. Reality anchoring. Before exploring alternate timelines, establish a strong anchor in this reality. Use a physical object, a mantra, a specific location. Something that keeps you grounded in your current timeline while you explore others. Parallel self-consultation. When facing major decisions, meditate with the specific intention of consulting alternate versions of yourself who've already made those choices. Ask for their insights, their experiences, their wisdom. Memory verification. When you receive alternate timeline memories, Don't immediately dismiss them as imagination. Document them. See if they contain information you couldn't have known. Look for validation in unexpected places. Timeline optimization. Once you develop access to multiple realities, you can begin consciously choosing which timeline to emphasize in this reality, which version of events to strengthen through attention and emotional investment. So if you're experiencing any of this, if you're getting memories that don't fit your current life, if you're sensing alternate versions of yourself, if you're accessing information from parallel timelines, know that you're not losing your mind. You're expanding it. You're part of a consciousness evolution that's happening right now, in real time. You're developing capabilities that represent the next phase of human potential. The key is integration without forcing. Allow the experiences, document them, learn from them, but don't try to control which reality you're in. Trust that your consciousness knows how to navigate this expanded awareness. And here's my question for you. What memories have you been dismissing as imagination? What parallel life experiences have you been calling dreams? What alternate timeline glimpses have you been ignoring? I want to hear from you in the comments. Share your multi-reality experiences, your parallel memories, your timeline navigation stories. Your experiences aren't just personal curiosities. They're data points in the documentation of human consciousness evolution. Every story you share helps build the map for others who are beginning to experience this expansion. You're not just sharing for yourself. You're contributing to our collective understanding of where human consciousness is heading. In the next episode, we're diving even deeper into consciousness evolution. We're exploring the new sensory capabilities emerging in humans, the expansion beyond our traditional 5 senses, and what I'm observing in the most advanced subjects. And I can tell you right now, what we're discovering about human sensory evolution will completely transform how you understand perception itself, how you understand what humans are actually capable of sensing. Stay quantum, beautiful souls, and remember, you're not just living one life, you're living all of them. The question is, how consciously do you want to navigate the multiverse of your own existence?